Talk. This is SingTalk Radio.
Hi, I am Dave Stroud. Welcome to another episode of SingTalk Radio. With me today is my lovely wife and co-host, Shannon. Hello, Shannon.
Hello, sir.
It's nice to see you today.
Good to see you.
Good to see you since
As
the
well.
kitchen. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And today we have guests from across the pond, our wonderful friends, the Naked Vocalist, Steve and Chris. And we have a wonderful guest joining us today from also across the pond, Andy Brown from the band Lawson. Welcome, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome. So let's, we've got a lot to cover here, both with Andy and the band and everything that's happening for them, and
the more important stuff.
Well, let's start with the less important stuff, the Naked Vocalist.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's just shorter. Doesn't mean it's less important.
It's first. You guys are headlining.
I
mean, you guys are opening. The headliner's over.
No. You stick with being the politician and just say that's what we're doing.
Whatever. All right. Tell me a little bit about where people can find you and what you guys discuss with.
And
Naked
why you're not
Vocalist.
naked.
Get your hand off of my arm.
Do you want? Is that
Thank
in
you.
shot? Just go ahead and start us off.
Strange way to begin. Well, we are the Naked Vocalist, and we offer guidance to singers.
He didn't say sales pitch.
Oh.
Just to
Free
tell us.
guidance for singers. No, look, it's been a few years now, probably too many together, hasn't it? It's been a long journey.
You guys seem tired all of a sudden.
Well, no, it's just. I'd like to be further away from him. After 4 days in the mountains, I think we sat a bit too close to each other. But yes, we're a podcast. But we've known each other for a very long time, since school, in fact.
You guys went to school?
Yeah, we went to school, secondary school in a little town called Salisbury, and it used to be the arrangement of. All right. That's all we did.
But at least you didn't
just
fight. You
What do you mean?
You got friends. You fought at school. There's two options. One that you fight with people, or no, three options. Sorry, you fight with people. You go or you're really good friends with people, or the ones in the middle. You're like, oh mate, it's a bit
indifferent.
Indifferent.
Yeah. That was us. We were
Don't
just
get
like,
involved.
Yeah.
in a bit, and like Chris,
You forgot the lovers. There's not there was the lovers, and I think I did all three pretty well, to be honest with you.
oh right, but like Chris, I was involved
With each other?
Bragger.
I was involved in sports. Chris wasn't so much.
You were cool.
But
Chris
to be
wasn't.
honest with you, hey, listen, I made it onto the sports teams mainly just from trying really hard. Yeah, sympathy. Yeah. And I made it on, as we talking about the other day, weren't we? Like, if Americans know what cricket is.
Sure.
Do you know what cricket is? I guess that
They're
was
little
quite
tiny bugs.
patronising.
It's a
wasn't
little
it?
insulting. But
Do you
go
guys-
ahead, move on.
Do you guys know what anything other than baseball and American football
We
is?
don't know.
Americans are thick, aren't they?
But the deal was, if you make it onto the sports team, you get an afternoon off school. So obviously I was going to try pretty hard to get on the cricket team. And because I was the worst, I was very gung-ho. You got to protect the stumps, but I'm just all about getting it out of the park.
Yeah.
So, but actually I think I just played the numbers game, and at one point I must have just hit enough balls across the line. Do you know what I mean? Across the line that the guy was like, actually, I think there's something there.
We could use him at some point.
But only as substitute, which is known as the 12th man.
And this was in third grade, or what grade are we talking?
This is
Like little mini Chris.
All right, I got to
don't
guide
know.
this conversation back to the Naked Vocalist because it is never going to get back to singing.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get back. So that's how we
It
actually
was
got to know each other better.
1977.
So fast forward, we were singing in a pop choir. I don't think America are losing out all over the place in this conversation, but there's a lot of pop choirs.
Well, notice we didn't invite any Americans, so just do your thing.
There's a lot of pop choirs in the UK. We were involved in one, and then we formed a couple of bands, and we started our journey of vocal development right there, like at the age of 16, 17. I mean, you were a bit earlier, but essentially, a couple of bands. Choir, tried to figure some stuff out, personally speaking, I was like, my voice was a mess. Like, I didn't know what I was doing when I first started. The kind of, I can go to karaoke, I can sing a bit of Robbie Williams, but
also Americans don't know who Robbie Williams is, just so you know.
I can sing a bit of Bruno Mars.
Okay.
Only the low stuff. But, and there wasn't anything really of substance there, so I knew that I had to sort my life out. you had to sort your life out. And so we were going to gigs, listening to podcasts, listening to advice, going to workshops. And then after about 5 years of going to workshops, having singing lessons, getting to know some stuff, we...
Realize you should quit.
Yeah.
And become professional cricket players.
We are that bad. But no, I don't know why. We just started, when we started teaching, we just like, look, there's this guy doing a podcast we listened to all the time on fitness. It seemed really simple. He's dishing out loads of free advice on how to get things right. Very non-fluffy, to the point. And we were in a situation where we'd spent 5-6 years not knowing what we were doing, not really getting many answers, embarking on this new journey of learning about singing and how to do it, figuring stuff out and going, well, do you know what? There's a place here where we can fill the void of fluffiness in singing development. All this kind of mystical, I had a teacher when I was at college, and I remember to this point, she's like, on this chorus, just think that you're in Africa walking through the jungle.
As you do.
Right. And like that, I mean, I know that worked conceptually.
That's a Toto song called Africa, just by the way. There was a song that's...
Conceptual stuff works for some people, but it didn't for me. And I'm more like, okay, I need to do this for enough time for it to change, for my voice to become better. So, and that's what we did. We're like, let's start a podcast. Let's start dishing out some information where it's like to the point. Singers can get some results quick, easy, right?
Yeah. And then we recorded our first episode, didn't we?
Yeah.
4 times, I think.
Did you?
We actually got market research. I gave it to a few of my clients, with that very positive thing of thinking they're going to love that. Come back going, you guys just talk too much. It's like,
I haven't experienced that with you two yet.
Yeah. There's too much arsing around. But then that student that I'd got market research off, one of them, he is miserable. He is.
He's a horrible person.
His name's He is miserable. If you want a truly honest, that's why you would get. That's why you
probably should have left his name out.
Okay, we're going to come back to you guys in a minute and get more connected with you. But let's shift the conversation to Andy, because
we just shut you guys down.
I want to make sure we cover all all the main information
guys,
here.
When you start insulting people,
That was a great warm-up act. Okay, to the headlining comedian here on the show. Andy Brown is a rock star, and that's all we need to say. Andy.
Hello.
He has several groupies under the table right now.
Yeah, they're just all under here, just
doing his taxes.
Doing unforgivable things.
So I met Andy maybe a year ago, right? Something like that?
I think so, yeah. We were doing some lessons together.
Yeah.
Through from Dr. Naziri.
Yeah.
Sent me your way.
Yeah.
Thankfully. And you were helping me with some vocal issues I was having.
Well, You tell us about your history of singing. I want to get to the band part too, but tell us because I want to kind of focus in on the singing part of your world and your life and your So tell us about coming from Liverpool and the singing and how you got to where you're at now.
And
but
the most important thing.
Nah, no cricket for me. Nah.
Did you play sports at all?
Nah, losers played cricket. I played soccer. I was actually a really good soccer player. I could have been a professional soccer player.
Wow.
Or a professional musician. I chose professional musician.
I like that you chose the American way of saying it.
Yeah, because
for us.
when in Rome.
Because if you said football, we'd go, what?
He's not big enough to play football.
Yeah.
He's too skinny.
This guy's
quarterback?
lying.
So I started singing, but I didn't want to be a singer really. But I was a guitarist, so I started playing guitar when I was like 10. In Liverpool, my dad just taught me like a few chords. He sort of used to play Beatles music, and I used to just sit there and watch him and be like, oh my God, like I want to be able to do that someday. And gave him my first guitar and just learned like really easy songs like Love Me Do and From Me to You and stuff like that. And then started writing my own songs probably when I was about 15, and none of my friends sang, so I sort of had to sing on my own songs that I'd written, but I didn't really want to be a singer because I didn't like the sound of my own voice. But that's definitely changed as I talk way too much now. So I started doing some demos of my original stuff, and that was pretty awful. Putting some stuff on YouTube, not getting many hits at all. And then basically I just sort of kept doing it, kept gigging around Liverpool. I used to play the Cavern all the time, and loads of other places in Liverpool, and weddings and pubs and clubs and anywhere that'd have me, and sort of landed my way into a Beatles tribute band. So I played like Beatles music, so I played like Paul McCartney and the Beatles tribute.
Do you keep those old YouTube videos up?
Yeah, I've got all of them. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
from
I've-
when you were little and...
Yeah, I've got like the wigs, I've got all the Beatles memorabilia, the suits, the guitars. I'm like a Beatles fanatic, so
But
I've
like-
got all that.
But like
no,
from
the
when you
videos
were
you
little,
posted
like
on
when you were...
YouTube.
When
Oh
they
yeah,
weren't
yeah, yeah.
successful.
I've taken them all down, but
Have
I've
you?
got
Okay.
them.
Well,
They're
yeah.
just private. They're just from private.
shoot.
Yeah.
Because it's
We're
just
gonna- we were just going to pull some of those up.
Oh no, you definitely can't find them. A lot higher voice than I've got now as well, like just proper like a young MJ. And then yeah, I started playing Beatles in a Beatles tribute band and doing like cruise ships, which I then got banned from for being too drunk and disorderly.
Really?
Yeah, they actually caught me on CCTV doing a roly-poly down the main staircase on the most fanciest cruise ship in the world, basically. So I was taken to the captain's office the next day and escorted off the ship in Barcelona. Where I was like, well, what am I supposed to do now? And they were like, we don't care. Like, no,
Roly-poly your ass down those stairs.
Yeah, so I just sort of roly-poly my way around Barcelona until I managed to hitch a flight home. And
Still
then,
drunk, by the way.
Yeah, and then just sort of just went back to doing some stuff in England. And I wasn't banned from many places in England. I could play most places in England. But yeah, just making money from doing Beatles music. That's what paid my way through like school and stuff. So when all my friends were like doing like 9-to-5 jobs, I was dressing up as Paul McCartney and going, hey, okay, yeah, I always do a song from me to you. All that stuff. And doing a Beatles tribute band. And I also played George and I played John as well, because that then sort of tripled my chances of getting work, you know.
Like just jumped in the back? And
Yeah, so I was
yeah.
like, if they were like, and we need a George tonight, I was like, okay, I'll do George. The only one I didn't do was Ringo, but I would have given it a go because I played a bit of drums as well. So and then
There's a lot of thoughts going through my head right now.
yeah, so yeah, I have the Beatles to thank for a lot of stuff. I fortunately wasn't in debt when I left school because that got me through. And then after that, I continued to put more stuff on YouTube, original music, covers, and then I got spotted by a music manager from a Katy Perry cover, Firework. Got spotted from that, and then invited me to London, played a few songs in this fancy office, picked me up in like a top of the range Mercedes. I was like a young kid. I was like, oh wow, you know, like
You
this
tried to
is.
roly-poly in there.
I roly-polied into that. Yeah.
He gets out. Just
I just...
let's sign that guy.
That guy's a badass.
Yeah. So that was my sort of in then to the music industry.
Yeah. And so the band, though, is all from Northern England as well, yeah? So were you guys friends growing up, or is this something that came together later?
So yeah, we then came together later. We went to the lads in the band went to music college, and I had friends from
Music college to go
to
to?
ACM in
Oh, they
Guildford
went to ACM,
in
yeah,
the
right
UK.
on.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I was looking to put a band together because I was sort of around the London music scene, doing gigs and stuff, and I was getting a bit lonely playing solo music. I wanted to be in a band, you know. So I just reached out to a few friends who went to ACM and another school called BIM in Brighton, which is a really good school, and I managed to get the name of a bass player there, who's the bass player in the band now, called Ryan, and then he introduced me to his friend Joel, who was a guitarist, and then we got introduced to Adam, who was a drummer. So it just all came together really well, and then we just locked ourselves in a rehearsal room for like 6 months before we even played a gig, because we just sounded horrific at first.
Which is funny, because I watched you guys at the Troubadour not too long ago, and Shannon and I talked about this, like, you guys are monsters at each instrument. It's like watching a master bass player. Well, the bass player is just a super good-looking guy, but
He is, isn't he?
he plays bass well. But
He's
you
just
know,
Was he
His-
playing?
his
I don't
part-
even remember.
Yeah.
his part is clearly the good-looking guy.
Yeah, he's a good-looking guy. Yeah, he's got everything. To be honest, he's like tall, muscly,
Go
just
on.
good-looking.
Great
Hey.
tattoos.
Hey now.
Yeah, he's got the tattoos. He's got that way with the girls as well. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
He's got that charm. He's just, to be fair, all the guys do well with girls.
Including
Probably-
the lead singer.
No,
I'm sure.
probably better than me. To be fair, I mean, I used to just make a fool of myself in front of girls.
It'll go a
So-
long ways.
Yeah, no.
The fool. I'm with
Yeah.
the fool.
But I used to do a thing where
Welcome
if
to my
they
world.
if they were talking to like a really hot girl on a night out, I'd go over there and be like, you don't want to be talking to him. I'm the lead singer. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
You
yeah.
don't want the drummer. Like, and I just
They
used to-
drool.
You're the anti-wingman.
Yeah, wow.
I know.
Exactly.
I was quite bad, honestly. Like, if the guys were here, they'd tell you that I was like I was a nightmare. I had like a couple of years of just being the anti-wingman. And now
Ban him to the bus.
No one got laid.
Yeah, no. So it was funny.
Going back to the artistry of you guys, though, the guitar player, the drummer, you, and the bass player. I don't want to knock him. I'm just saying he was super good looking, and I just put that guy out of there. That's not fair. But you guys are just masters at what you do. It is so great to watch you guys.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, when we watch that show, and we go to a lot of shows, we see, I mean, clearly we're constantly at shows. And you guys, I have to say, last year of all the shows we saw, that was the most. And it's nice that the Troubadour, there's no gimmicks. It's not a light. There's no dancers. There's not a light of sounds. It's just
No
a
production.
band.
Yeah.
Man, these guys are killing it. We walked in with some people that had never heard of you guys. They were, I don't know, we're just hanging around Hollywood. Thought we saw this band playing tonight. We're coming in, and when they left, they went, "Do you know those guys? That might be the best band we've ever seen."
Oh, really?
Seriously, yeah.
That's unreal.
So it was
And then
a
we
great
told them
show.
not to sleep with you because.
Then we said that the
Yeah.
lead singer is kind of goofy. I don't
I'm
know.
sure the lead
I would
singer-
go for the bass player.
The
Bass
lead
player
singer
might
was
be
just
available.
roly-polying down West Hollywood earlier. I see him there. No, it's crazy. It's so great to hear stuff like that because we do pride ourselves on being musos. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the guys, and you say about the bass player. The bass player's in like first gear. You know what I mean? Because he's just playing root notes. But like if you see him, if you let him go, he plays like jazz bass
Yeah, no,
and
and
stuff. You know what I
don't-
mean? He can do it, but he just doesn't with me because
Yeah.
I say, mate, just
Don't.
keep it simple.
Yeah.
He's like, well, can't I do like a slap bass solo? I'm like, mate, no one cares
Yeah.
about the bass.
All they care is about me.
but,
That's right.
but no, not even that. But like half the people, like my mum will say to me, "What's bass?" And I'll be like, "Okay." I'll be like, "Mum, you know that thing that like that rumbles in your chest and like you feel it on your bum." It's like
That's your father.
that's the bass. You don't really hear it, you feel it, don't you? It's a feeling, and if he was missing, she'd know it wasn't there, but she doesn't know what he actually did. You know what I mean? But yeah, they're all great musicians. The lead guitarist is like a mini sort of John Mayer.
Yeah, I mean, he's so good.
Yeah, he's
so good.
awesome.
But anyway, so one of the other things that I'm impressed by is your manager. Like, you're managed by Randy Phillips and his crew and that global, and I have the highest respects for him and his history. Tell me how that happened. How'd you guys get connected?
So we got spotted on a night out. Funnily enough, it was so strange. We played a gig in Brighton in the UK, which is like a beach town. And we played a gig in front of probably 40 people, and our manager happened to be walking down the beach on a sunny day and heard us sound checking and was like, "Oh, I like the sound of that band," and came in and checked us out, and then asked the sound man, what band's this? And it was a band called Lawson. And he was like, "Oh, what time are they on tonight?" He was like, "Oh, they're on at 9." He was like, "Okay, I'll come back." So we came back to the gig.
Wow.
And we had no idea. So we were all like leathered on stage, drinking, like just taking the piss. Like I remember at one point in the gig, I was like lying down on the ground, like pretending to like, I can't remember what it was, but we were just being
Roly-polying.
Yeah, we were just being
basically.
stupid because there was 30 people in Brighton and it was like a Friday night. So we were like, right, we could just go out and get drunk after this. And he happened to be there this night, and after the show he came. There wasn't even a backstage. He just came like on the stage. There was nowhere else to go.
Step forward.
Yeah, and he was just like, "Oh, I'm a music manager. I work for a company called Global. I thought you guys were great. Would you fancy coming in for a meeting?" And so we went in for a meeting, and then they basically just signed us straight away. And then we signed to Polydor in the UK, which is Universal, who look after like Lana Del Rey and some massive artists, Ellie Goulding. And then they set up the US label, which is run by Randy Phillips, who's obviously used to head up AEG, massive company, and obviously an incredible guy. Really everyone respects him in the industry. He's a heavyweight, and a lovely guy as well. Looked after huge acts like Michael Jackson, Rolling Stones. So yeah, to be involved with someone like that was obviously an honour.
Yep.
And he was at the Troubadour that night as well.
Yep.
So it's nice to have the support of people like that in the industry.
Well, I mean, you can never underestimate, for those listening, that you do a gig and 40 people are there. You don't know who's there. That you only need one person to show up that might be the right person.
Yeah, but interesting.
So be
that-
drunk and fall on the, be sloppy and be
But you
foolish.
wonder if you knew someone was going to be there, you might just be too on
Yes.
edge, and then you're not yourselves. and
Definitely
you're not,
wouldn't have been rolling around the stage. Like,
Right.
would have, yeah, you would have been
You have
nervous.
a problem with
and-
rolling around.
I know,
I mean,
I don't know if it's a problem. It's
I
just
mean,
an
it could just
addiction.
be. It could just, yeah,
I just want to be close to the floor for some reason. I don't know why.
stable.
Maybe because I'm so tall, I feel like I miss it. But you are totally right, because you'd be nervous. We've done showcases after that where, like, the label were like, right, tonight we're playing in front of, like, the night at the Troubadour, we were nervous because, that night the, like, Jimmy Kimmel Booker was there, like, Ellen Booker was there and stuff like that, and so, and when that's happening, you're like, oh, God, like, we've got to be amazing here, do you know what I mean? And I'm backstage warming up, like, my voice just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel there. My range, I'm just not hitting all, and it's
Getting in your head.
It's all in
yeah,
your
it
head.
gets in your head. You've got nothing to worry about, you know what I mean? It's just another gig. But thankfully, we did do a really good one that night.
Yeah, it was a great show. Great show.
Thank you.
So I'm going to tie this back to these guys because, you and I worked a little bit, but clearly going back to the UK, it's not efficient to, and I'm supportive of people who teach on Skype, and I do a little bit as well, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. In person, you get just way more out of. So, I connected you with Chris, and you guys have worked, but, I'd love for you guys to chat about the work you've done, and because I do want to loop around a little bit about the voice production, your experience with Andy, etc., and how, where things are at now.
Yeah, well, when I first met Chris, my voice was sort
Steve,
of...
just look pretty, by the way.
I can do that.
You're doing a
I
great
can
job.
definitely do that. So
My voice was...
Be a wingman.
My voice was in tatters, really, wasn't it? A little bit. It was sort of like I had no sort of... Like, I'd lost, like, a lot of my range and sort of, like, my high mix voice had sort of gone because I was suffering from, like, acid reflux and post-nasal drip and all that. So when I first went to see Chris, I remember we were only doing, like, half-an-hour lessons because after that, my voice was just, like, shot, wasn't it? Like, and then after working together longer and longer and changing my lifestyle and changing my diet and then cut alcohol and stuff...
The guy who was roly-poly on alcohol for years now doesn't drink at all.
And it's been
crazy,
2 years,
man.
isn't it? 2 years
2
teetotal.
years teetotal.
From 100 miles an hour
It's crazy.
to none.
The lads in the band said to me the other day, they were like, you've changed so much from the guy that we first met because you were just an animal back then. Do you know what I mean? It's like you were just out loving life, and now I'm just like this sensible, grown up
But seriously, it's
man
like
who's like,
sipping
what time
tea.
do I need to eat dinner tonight? Because I've got to make sure I leave it 4 hours before I go to sleep.
and how acidic is it?
Is this an alkaline meal?
You've got litmus paper with you at the canteen.
Does this green smoothie have avocado in? Because I can't eat too much fat.
This line of cocaine is way too acidic.
But he doesn't drink because it's acidic.
Yeah, so...
But are you happier or like what's the...
no, I'm miserable. To be
Are you
honest.
really?
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm really happy. No, I'm really happy. It's you know what I've said. Everyone says that to me. I do miss drinking, and I still have fun. I'm the sort of person that doesn't really need to have a drink to. I'm not like an
Not
introverted
from what
guy.
you're telling us, but
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't roly-poly around, but I'd still be,
Yeah.
fun to be around.
Such a good visual.
Yeah, but I do miss it. But the thing is, I would much prefer to be on stage and owning that and thinking, I'm killing this. Like, I've got complete control of my voice.
Yeah.
Rather than having an incredible social life and then being on stage and being like, shit, I'm not going to hit this note.
Yeah.
My voice is falling apart. I've got a sore throat. I've got to get up at 7 and sing live on TV, and I'm going to have to blag that. Like, I'm going to have to mime. Do you know what I mean?
Too
So
stressful.
I prefer to have the control of my voice. But sometimes I don't even have that. You know what I mean? Because other factors are involved, like acid reflux still is a problem. And
Sleep, lack of sleep.
and jet lag
flying,
and
air
aircon,
conditioned,
stuff
yeah.
like that. So, but Chris really helped me get back, and sort of we got on great as well, which is a big help because
Yeah, that makes a
as
difference.
Steve said before, I'd worked with some vocal coaches who were just like, terrible. It's just like some, and then and the thing is, it's just everyone. What annoyed me is that everyone has different rules. Like you go and see one person, they'll be like, right, push your belly in, and then you go to see another person, they'll be like, push your belly in. No, you don't want to be doing that. You want to be pushing your belly out.
Push your belly in.
So you're like, oh, well, I just worked with the vocal coach who told me to do that, and he's like, no, that's completely wrong. You've been getting the wrong guidance for the last year, So it's like, but we were working together. We've probably been working together for 6 months or so now, maybe longer.
Maybe longer.
It's
Yeah.
longer than that. It's been almost a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was last March or April, I think.
Yeah.
We first started working together. But yeah, it's so true, isn't it? But as we all know, like, voice is just which side of the needle are you?
Yeah, and
with breathing, with anything.
And to be honest with you, you get information from one coach, it's true. You go to another coach, your place or where your voice is has shifted, and what they're saying is also true.
Yes.
So I always take the position as, one, all voice coaches are full of shit, and two, all voices coaches are right.
Wow.
That's really, really clarified.
Well, all I'm saying
the
is
industry.
All
really.
I'm saying is that it's a smorgasbord of information, and you're the singer, you're in the driver's seat, and you have to take what's right for you at the time.
Yeah.
But
Just
sometimes,
Google it.
yeah,
That's
just
what I do.
Google it.
Oh God.
But sometimes voice coaches will give you opposite information, even though they're both right.
Yeah, I think the point is how it's delivered. We were talking just before this about opinions, and I just feel like in every walk of life, when people swan around going,
This is the truth.
This is the truth. This is the way that it needs to be done, and anything else outside of that is wrong. Then I feel that's a problem. If you can be open-minded like you, Dave, the wisdom of the balance in all parts of life, like that can work.
But it's even the idea of like steaming. Like, before I seen you, Dave, every vocal coach told me that steaming was amazing for my voice. They said that like after every show, steam. Before the show, steam. I had like an inhaler that I used to take everywhere with me. And then when I seen you said that steaming wasn't necessarily great.
Getting hydration is great, but in the form of steam is not always the best way.
Because it's too hot.
Well, dehydration. So,
Right.
But if you're getting a mister and you're breathing that, it has to be 5 microns or less for your body to absorb that, then that's fantastic. But steam itself, it can be a negative effect.
It can actually cause inflammation.
Yes, and that as well.
Yeah.
So, but you take everything and you try it, and you really need to walk away from the situation with what this works for me, and it could be a placebo, but if it works for you, who gives a fuck?
I think that is the truth. I think it literally, the best voice coach is yourself. You know what I mean? Because you do have to like see what works for you. Like, I mean, and everyone is different. Everyone has different voices. So what Chris might like to do with the way you pronounce a word, I might do it completely different, and it worked different and better for me. You know what I mean? But it might be horrible for you. So
Yeah,
it's completely subjective, I think, sometimes as well. So
And I'm talking to you obviously recently, looking at the journey of like employing vocal technique every day just to get yourself on the road and get to know your voice again after it's been affected by medical issues. But you've already mentioned, haven't you, that when you're on the road and you're performing every night, like on the Robbie Williams tour, that's when it really starts to come together, when you're actually doing the act itself every day, and you can find all the efficiencies in it and where you can push it and where you probably shouldn't every night and all that stuff. And then you said your voice was awesome when you were weeks into the tour, when a lot of people would be kind of crashing and burning if they didn't have a good foundation.
but the discipline, I have to say, the technique's great, your body getting sort of the muscle memory and the programming of that show is great, but you're a disciplined guy. You're sleeping, you're not drinking. That makes the biggest difference. Lifestyle
100%.
is the biggest difference. In whatever placebo things, whatever ritual things that you do that make you feel good are part of that. And whether it's factual or not on how it's affecting you, it's part of the ritual. And the ritual, and I tell this to singers all the time, when you get ready to go on the road, as quickly as possible, get in a routine.
Yeah.
Get into the function of, I get up, I work out.
Cocaine.
sex.
Sex.
No, it is
No sex for 2 hours.
Roly-polies.
Rest, roly-poly.
It is totally true. Like, you do need to get into a routine, and as Chris said then, it's like that's why I don't worry, because I think, hang on, I'm 4 weeks into a tour here and my voice feels the best it's ever felt, so that's why I think, right, I must be doing it right technique wise, because then I'll go on holiday for a week and not sing for a week, and then after I come back and try singing again, I'm rubbish. You know what I mean?
Well, you don't have the routine of cocaine, sex, roly-poly.
Exactly. So I need a quick line, and then
You're
I'm
on
good again.
vacation. I mean, that's too much work.
Do you find that the band has followed your structure?
Absolutely not. No, they go and drink every night.
Do they really?
And pretty much.
And so you're like, good night, you guys, and you've got a book, and they're like,
Bye,
Yeah.
loser.
yeah.
To be fair,
We'll bring you back pictures.
Yeah.
we are getting better because we've been in the band now 7 years. So all the amazing stuff that you have is sort of worn off a little, because when you first experience going to the Brit Awards or something,
Yeah.
you're like, oh my God. But then once you've been 5 times, you don't have to feel like you have to get leather. Do you know what I mean? You just feel like it becomes work, although an amazing job.
Yeah.
It just becomes like, we have to be professional and we have to deliver a great performance or whatever, but they still love to party. Like the guitarist Joel, like he'll go out every night if someone's offering, he'll be there with bells on,
Yeah.
Polling with bells.
But those guys don't really, in respect to those guys, they're incredible musicians, but they don't really have to sing that much.
Right. And it's
You
a
know what I
different,
mean? So it's a different,
completely different job.
Yeah.
I mentioned this band to you the other day, Vertical Horizon. I don't know, you guys know who they are,
of
but
course.
Vertical Horizon, Matt Scannell is the singer of that band, and I remember in 2000, I think it was 2001, they had a song called Everything She Wants. It was huge, and this is when he first started getting in the routine. Like before that, it was the same, and he learned very quickly, like, okay, I'm going back to the bus, I'm going to sleep. And this was, the funny thing is this is an evolution within the concept in bands and singers. 20 years ago, if you said to a singer, you need to go back to the bus, don't drink, get some sleep, they would have went, fuck you, my job is to go party.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's evolved. I think singers, in fact, being backstage at shows these days, the entourage is living the rock and roll, not the musicians as much anymore.
It's changed so much.
changed.
Back in the days of the Beatles and stuff, they'd be smoking spliffs like before they went on
Yeah.
stage doing like speed and stuff, and now it's like people are like, I did a gig with James Bay the other day and I seen him come out of the catering with a steamer. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, James Bay.
Yep.
Looks after his voice.
Yep.
And like, I seen him as like, a rock star, but he still looks after his voice, So it's like, it's completely... Another thing that for me as well is psychological problems getting over with my voice. Like, for instance, if you asked me to sing like a song now, like my voice would probably fall apart, you know what I mean? But if I was on stage with my band and like had my ears in and had reverbs and delays kicking off, I'd like nail it without even thinking about it. But if you asked me to do it now in a room with an acoustic, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Can you
know
go
what I
back
mean?
to
So
my
it's
car
like,
and get that acoustic?
do you know what I mean? So it's stuff like that as well, which is weird. It's like I'm still doing the
You're
same
human.
song.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
why is that? Is
Adrenaline, energy.
Yeah,
But you
it's-
also get in the environment. You've got the ears, you've got the reverb. It feels right. It feels normal.
Yeah.
And I personally think it just triggers muscle memory. You're in that environment.
That's
It
the
triggers that. Just like anything, when you trigger those things, your brain starts to produce the neural functions that allow you for that process. So.
It's so interesting. I'm so like that as well. When we get on stage and do our gigs, and I like it loud. I like me in the monitor.
Because you don't feel like you have to sing as hard because your voice just flows out of you, doesn't it?
It's silky and it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can tune like if you actually are listening out for like vowel shapes, it's very easy to hear, and you've got all this energy coming back. And I remember the first time I went to do an audition, like a musical theatre audition. In a room, and quite often the rooms are like nice and reflective, big like old school theatre school. It's going to be good to sing in.
With just one guy with a clipboard.
Yeah, in like a
Judging.
room that'd be covered in this kind of carpet because it's basically just a conference facility with a pianist in it, and then you sing in
And
there.
a judgy man.
And three judgy people.
Three judgy people.
Not looking at you going, so what are you doing? Just 16 bars or 32 bars. And you sing in this room that sucks all of the energy out of your body. And then the pianist is like, boom, 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 boom.
And afterwards, you got like a sore throat and everything. You're like, it's horrible.
Because
Isn't
when
it?
I'm nervous, I will push it. Like some people
Same.
withdraw, but I will just stuff it into their face. And I'll go out of tune, flat. And then I'll go red. And then what they'll do, they'll look at me and they'll go...
I want to see this show. It sounds
Honestly.
great.
Your veins in your neck just popping out of the skin.
You might pee yourself. You don't know.
The one time I felt fine,
Might.
they said to me, don't be nervous. So I'd sang the song, thought,
That's so
sweet, and
helpful.
they just said, can we hear something else, but calm down.
Really?
I thought I was calm.
That's the thing. They must
No,
sort
I'm
of,
not calm.
Yeah.
I'm not calm anymore.
They must sort of know. Do you know what I mean? That people are nervous and stuff. It's because it is a nerve-wracking thing that I've never had to
I
do.
don't think they care.
Do you not think?
No, but have you ever been, you're like when it's all perception, right? Like you're on the other side judging people and they're coming in and you're like, relax, you guys.
There's nothing
just
to be worried
sing.
about.
What are you,
Yeah.
And then if they switch the roles just for a second, the person would be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd just be in a
Again,
nervous
all
wreck.
those psychological things come into your head. I'i've got no range. I've got a frog in my throat. I've got mucus.
Everyone
on my
hates me. Oh, that's just me.
I'm ugly. My mouth is dry.
Yeah.
It's like it's
Nobody likes me unless I'm roly-polying.
Yeah,
never
exactly.
amount
And
to
I'm drunk. I
anything.
need to be drunk. You know what I mean? It's like, then you can understand why a lot of musicians get drunk.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because it does make you feel like you don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
Totally.
and being in a band, we're in rooms like this every day doing acoustic performances.
Right,
So can you
radio
imagine
promo.
singing now? Like, it's literally the room is dead because
Yeah.
there's curtains all around the place. It's carpet and I've noticed now, if you look around, bands are just starting to say no.
Are they?
Yeah,
Are
yeah.
they?
Well, yeah.
The radio promo?
Well, no, they do the radio promo. They come in and speak about the record. Yeah,
But
we've
they
got a
won't
brand new
play
record
it.
out. Oh, will you play an acoustic song? Oh, yeah, here you go. We recorded this 2 weeks ago. You can play that out.
Enjoy that.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rather than doing it there, because half the time the mics are shit.
Yep.
These are good mics, by the way. Sorry, I'm not saying these aren't good. But like you go into some radio stations, they don't have good mics set up.
They're not meant for performance.
Muffle him now.
But, and then you listen back to it and it just sounds shit. And
Yeah.
you think, you know what? Why do we even do that anyway? We're selling our band and it sounds shit. So you should just go there with an acoustic version and say, if you want to play an acoustic version of the song, play one that we
I
recorded
think
in the
it's smart.
studio.
I
that
actually
sounds
think
great.
it's really smart.
Yeah.
So if you
Because
look, you never really find acoustic versions that much anymore. If you try and type in like the script acoustic video in a radio station,
Nothing.
you won't find it.
Interesting.
But it's what time do you usually do a radio show? It's not in the afternoon when you're warmed up. It's 6 in the morning.
First thing in the morning,
Yeah.
and for me as well, like my diet is such a big thing. So like you've just eaten breakfast, and then you're full, and you're like, oh god, my voice isn't even sitting in the right place anyway. I'm like maybe, like I don't know. It's just so it's tough, It's tough, really, really tough.
Do you think that's
thing
because
to
the
do.
expectation has increased as well, though? Over the years of now the YouTube era is almost like we're bang on in it. If not, it's it's on its way out. So everyone's a judge now, aren't they? And I think that
everyone's a performer too.
right.
I mean,
yeah.
there's a million points of entry, and there's a billion opinions.
Right, exactly, yeah. And I think that that's one thing I love about you, Andy, is that you are so honest.
Oh, big time,
Of all
mate,
all the people that we've met in our circles, you're one of the most honest artists I've ever met, and that's what I love about it, because you just I'm nervous, and I wouldn't want to sing right now in this room. And I think so many people would be the same, but just wouldn't admit it.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think the expectation is just escalated so much for what you're supposed to sound like.
But
with
as
a
Shannon,
shit
as you
mic
say,
and a-
we're all
right?
human, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? We are just all human.
Deep
We're all-
white.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
That's why I married her. The deepness.
Yeah, sometimes I lay awake at night and I just go, we're human. And then Dave's snoring and he's not even listening to me.
But to be fair,
Sometimes
And the dogs are like, we're not.
I mean, some people aren't human though. Do you know what I mean? It's like, for instance, we did like a gig with Bruno Mars, and he was like the opposite. He just came on stage in sound check
He's an alien.
and just like sang Grenade at the top of his voice, and it just sounded incredible. There was no
Amazing.
track. He was just like hitting every single note, and then just come off and like smoke a cigarette.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
He smokes.
Well, he was. I'd seen him smoking a cigarette, yeah, and he just sounded incredible. I'm sure he could stand in this room now and sing "When I Was Your Man," note perfect.
Wow.
Could he do
We
a
do not
roly-poly down
condone.
some stairs, though?
He wouldn't be able to do a roly-poly down a
Exactly.
cruise ship
That's
main
it.
staircase.
Yeah.
But
Maybe. We'll have to reach out to him.
I don't think he'd be able to deliver it with such finesse.
Yeah.
But
He doesn't have the practice.
exactly.
He's
But-
a bit smaller though. He could get a tighter ball, I think. Your gangly ball with arms hanging out of it. Down,
No wonder
down
they
some
kicked
steps.
you off.
Ultimately, it's that 10,000 hours you put in, though. I don't care if it's tight ball, big ball.
But he was
I
putting
care.
Put the
those.
time in.
I
He's
care.
putting those hours since he was like little Elvis. Do you remember? Did you see that video of
Yeah,
him?
yeah.
And he was like 4 years. Was he like 5 years old?
He was pretty young, yeah.
Yeah, so young, doing Elvis or Elvis competition with his dad there. So he's been performing truly since God knows when.
I know, but a lot of people talk about the 10,000 hours, and I agree with that if you're talking like about learning guitar or bass. But for me, the voice is different because it can age, you know what I mean? So,
But the 10,000 hours is really more about, A, what you and I or you and Chris have done, and B, getting to know your instrument. And so a lot of people just don't even know how their voice is or where their sweet spots are,
Yeah.
or and you have to put time in to find that.
But it does change as well, don't you think?
And that's even more reason to keep putting the time in, because as it evolves and changes,
Yeah.
you need to keep up with that. You need to be in touch with how that's.
Well, it's not like at the end of 10,000 hours, you're like, and I got it.
And
I'm
it's done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Any
wall is
questions?
built.
Yeah.
Yeah, the wall is well.
Singing these
And this
incredible-
is where the voice is different than any other instrument. This is more like fitness. When you get in shape, and here's a funny thing about when I was younger, I always thought, man, someday I want to get in shape. And I got in shape and I was like, I'm done. And about a week later, I was chubby. And I went, how'd that happen? Because honestly, I never thought, I
not
honestly
fair though, is
thought
it?
you get there. And like people who are in shape were just like, yeah, once you get there, you're there. But you don't.
I just don't think that's fair at all.
It
though.
sucks.
Life
not
is
fair.
sucks, doesn't it?
As you
does.
get older, like you can put in all this time getting in shape when you're younger, and then you hit a certain age, and that's it. It just is like your metabolism changes and everything. And so when you work out, when you hit the gym, when you're younger, that sticks with you for 4 or 5 days. And you get older, you got about 24 hours.
I think
Until
enjoy
you
it.
start retaining water. I'm just like a
If you don't-
balloon.
Everything's
Yeah.
soft, and you're like, well, anywho.
that's the thing.
You
isn't
guys
it?
should have seen me this morning. I was so much more fit than I am now.
I'm telling you,
I
that
was-
6-pack went
I
away.
go to the gym like 3 times a day.
The supermodel.
But going back to the voice is the same thing. Singing is an athletic event.
But sometimes it's like, it's without sounding like I'm trying to put people off going into this industry, it's like so disheartening though, because you work so hard and then you feel like your voice is in amazing shape. And for me personally, I don't know what it's like for other people, but it takes the littlest thing to knock it off and then it's gone again. And you think, what's the fucking point? You know what I mean? There's been loads of times where I've just thought, you know what? I can't be fucked with this. I literally might as well just be a songwriter or a music manager, because the upkeep, I have to eat at a certain time of day, I have to go to bed at a certain time, get enough sleep, and my voice is never the same, do you know what I mean? And like, for instance, I'd be working with Chris and we'd be feeling like on top of the world and I'd be hitting any note I want to hit, and then that night I'd go and eat like spaghetti bolognese, and the next day I'd wake up
Well, there's your
and I
problem.
wouldn't even be able to hit an A. Do you know what I mean? And it's because of the acidity in that or something, and you're like, well,
But you can't measure it, can you? You're
Yeah.
so right.
you
It's-
can't go around with a pH
Right.
stick, can you? Like, hang on,
Well, you
hang on,
could.
mate. I'm just going to stick this pH stick in this spaghetti bolognese.
Yeah.
Oh, 5.4. No, can't eat
Yeah,
that.
sure
yeah,
it's
not before I
delicious.
lick it.
Do you know what I mean, though?
Totally. And there's a lot of singers that will often say, from day to day, I feel like a mess. Get in the studio, right? And they come in, it's like, yeah, this week I feel like shit, And as you said, the hardest thing about this is that you can't control it. You can't, even if you're doing everything that you're doing, which is sleeping well, eating well.
We do have biorhythms.
It still only takes the littlest thing
Right.
to knock it off. You
And
know
then
what
you've
I mean?
got immunity as well, haven't you? Like, I often feel that's a challenge with a lot of singers, is that if they get ill, it'll always be right there. Like,
Exactly.
never like, I don't know, the shits. Or something.
All right.
Or like bad, achy hair. I don't know. Something that's not voice is
Leg
what I'm
ache.
trying to get
I
at.
just
Leg ache. That's it. That's it. My dancing won't be any good.
Got a really bad dead leg today, guys. Can't make it into work.
I don't get achy hair anymore. It's fine.
That's when you know you've got a really bad cold. Even my hair hurts. Yeah.
My eyes are bleeding.
But yeah, immunity. And some people just get every 2 or 3 months you're getting some kind of inflammatory response on the larynx.
That's what I mean.
And it's frustrating because then if I sing on it, I'm going to literally kill my instrument probably for months. I could risk something really bad like a hemorrhage or a polyp. And then, as we probably know as well, it's not like we're prepared enough to get like income insurance, is it? You know what I mean? So when you do get struck down, it's like there's no work. You can't do it. You don't earn anything. Especially when we're talking to like working singers, we're here as well, aren't we? Like, if you're just singing for money in casuals and weddings, it's like really hard to have an instrument that's not happy in the environment.
Yeah, and then there's those people who nothing knocks them down.
Well,
Yes.
they're the people that annoy me.
Scotch.
They annoy me so much because they just have resilient.
Daniel Bedingfield. Do you remember the gig that you guys saw him at here at the Libertine?
Yep.
I wasn't there, but you were.
Oh, yeah. It was your brother, you and your brother.
Yes, right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And Daniel was, at that time, doing a song, having some scotch, doing a song, having some more scotch, and yet never off.
On fire.
Really?
On fire.
Yeah.
But then what about the next day?
I've never.
When you woke up next to him, what did he say?
He rolled over and went, "Hello, Dave." No, I don't know. I just know throughout the night it stays consistent. I've never seen him not.
Yes. You do hear that we've got a friend called Duncan. He's got a singing colleague who sings very operatic. They're in like a classical crossover type act, or they work together. And he's the same. He's like, after the show, even though he's opera, he'll still go out to like a shisha bar and get absolutely hammered. He's puffing on shisha all night, which does kill my voice if I've ever done that. Like that. It's so abusive. And then he'll be out all night with chicks, everything else. Next day, top C opera every time.
That's the thing.
I just don't understand.
I don't understand.
But so the reason I'm not you, I wanted to be you. So when I was 20, 18 through 20, older maybe, 18 through 28 or something, I was playing in bands and I wanted to be you. I wanted to be a rock star. And I remember going to gigs, everybody be drinking, so I'd have one beer. And that was it. It was over. Mm-hmm. I would go for a high note and I'd get air.
Really?
It wouldn't work for me. And when I would have anything, probably.
I'd get air or wind.
Yeah, what are we talking about?
It just farts. Sorry, guys.
This
next one is called Ain't No Sunshine.
Yeah, and it's got a horn section.
No, but I'm the same, mate. If I go high, just air.
Yeah,
just air. It's
so
the same.
My voice, when I go to that, gets really deep, really low.
Yeah.
And it's just, forget it. And so I think that's what discouraged me a long time ago. Like, I'm just not what those guys are. I don't have it. I also didn't have that thing in me that kept me going. I hated rehearsals. Hated it.
It takes a lot of mental strength. Do you know what I mean? Dedication, hard work, and just mentally you have to be strong, because most people, it's like the way I like to describe it, similar to being like a soccer player in the UK. Like, my brother was an amazing soccer player, but when he went to college, he started drinking, meeting girls. The ones who made it were the ones who didn't drink, didn't go out, were training every day. And now he looks back and he regrets it. That's why I would think if I got to 50, I'd look and I did decide, you know what, this isn't for me anymore. I just can't keep this lifestyle up. I'd think, fucking hell, I made a mistake there. You know what I mean? Who cares? You've just got to, the lifestyle. You've got to sacrifice a few things to live your dream. You know what I mean? Some people don't have to. Some people are lucky. You know what I mean? But unfortunately for me, I have to live a certain lifestyle to. And it's also, I don't sing like Michael Bublé. I shouldn't say Michael Bublé, because Michael Bublé's sensational. He can sing anything. But maybe like a real baritone voice. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If you're just singing Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. I could sing that shit all day long and then go get drunk or whatever.
An awful song, that
one. I could sing that great song all day long, but it's when you start challenging yourself and singing the B flats and the
you guys. So you guys are an exception to the rule there too. There's very few rock bands. You're mentioning Bruno Mars. I mean, he's hitting D's or whatever.
That's what I mean.
But you guys are, as a rock band, you guys are doing stuff that most can't.
Every song as well.
That's the thing.
Every song.
And it is your fault.
It is
you
my
write
fault.
them.
It's totally my fault. It's totally my fault. And now it's
the manager's like, you wrote it, you sing it.
I know. It is totally my fault. Because I love, nothing makes me happier than singing up there. That's my tone, you know what I mean? When I'm there and I'm feeling good, that's like my happy place, you know what I mean? I don't want to sing down here. I don't want to sing like, la, la, la.
It's got content. Your voice has content emotionally up there. And I think it does. I think you're right. When you're on the ball, it just...
There's nothing
nice
else in life that makes you feel better.
Great stuff.
That's better than sex, you know what I mean? That's
Talking of mental strength, I was interested to hear actually. Cause
Dave looked at me funny there as if to say he's not having great sex.
You might want to try a few things. I got some videos. Singing's great.
It's a different podcast.
So how do you take? Because when someone gets famous or in the limelight or whatever, then you'll have your fans, obviously.
Yeah.
Then you won't. You'll have those people that will be unnecessarily abusive to you or have negative comments about your music or anything like that. What's been your experience of that in the past?
To be fair, we've been quite lucky. We haven't really received that much abuse. You get some jealous people. But I think the reason why we probably weren't as big in the UK as we wanted to be, like we were, really big in the UK, but at first, when we first started, is because, without sounding like a dick or blowing our own trumpet, because the guys are good looking in the band, it really held us back because no one took us seriously.
Yep.
Like, as musicians, they were like, he can't play, he's too good looking.
Yep.
Meaning, like, the guitarist or the bass player, as you just said, he's like really good looking.
We still
guy,
don't
so
think he can play. Who
that's
cares?
the thing. But, like, so, like, a lot of guys would not buy into us at all. They'd be like, Lawson? Oh, you're going to see Lawson? Oh, why are you going to see them? You know what I mean? They're shit. You know what I mean? We were like, well, have you actually seen us play? And it's like...
Speaking of...
So frustrating, isn't it?
It is, but,
It's so hard being good looking and talented. I understand.
But you don't get that in the US, though. In the US, you guys are like... They're good looking and they can play. Good on you guys.
You got
know
two
what I
in
mean?
a row.
You got 2 in a row. Strike out, guys. You go, buddy. I love you, man. Suck me off.
Is that what we...
You know what I mean? But in the UK, it's like, oh, fuck you guys. You know what I mean? I want to knock you out. You know what I mean?
That's the men.
Yeah, it's the men. Yeah. But it's even some girls are like, oh, fuck.
Now, but hang on. So,
I mean, it's
Manly women.
it's crazy.
what goes around comes around. Do you want to tell us about your girlfriend and the underwear model?
Which one was that?
The one that you dumped and...
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That was a tough one. That was.
What goes around?
There's plenty of stories I can tell. We could sit here all day and tell you stories, but the one that sticks out obviously is the girl that I was with on the first album. So we wrote an album called Chapman Square, which is where I lived with the girl of my dreams at the time. I thought she was like everything. She was like, I looked up to her. She was like the one. We lived in Chapman Square.
She was an inch taller than him.
Yeah. She was amazing at roly-polies. She taught me that. But she was. We were together for ages, like 4 or 5 years. We lived together. Like, I had a little dog, little toy poodle. And then anyway, to cut a long story short, basically, she, was obviously, I was in an unsigned band at that time. Lawson was sort of doing really shit gigs all over the country, trying to get a break, and she was like doing really well in a successful band in the UK. So I think she might have been getting a little bit of pressure from a label and stuff. I don't know. She would never admit it, but I think that maybe she was under a little bit of pressure because the other girls in their band were going out with like rugby players who were driving amazing cars, and I'd pull up in like, my Peugeot 206
With the toy
like,
poodle.
Exactly, like
Jennifer,
breaking
come on.
down, like
Off the toilet tour as well.
Yeah, exactly. Hot from playing to 5 people in Cambridge, in the Portland Arms, and then So basically, she ended that, and then I was obviously devastated. And then, like the next thing I had to see, I look in a magazine, and she's dating, the sexiest man in the world. He'd just been voted the sexiest
Dave
man
was
in the
there?
world. Yeah, and he was the highest paid underwear model. So he's got the abs, he's got the he's got the pecs, yeah, he's got everything, and I'm driving around London and he's just on like huge billboards, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, fuck this. I'm out of here, you know what I mean? But that's what led me to write songs on the first album, which led to the band becoming signed.
What was the song you wrote kind of around that, was it?
So it was...
Fuck you, I hate you.
I hate my life. I hate my life.
Such a good-
Yeah, Mr. Underpants.
I wrote a lot of songs on that first album about it, like Standing in the Dark, When She Was Mine, all sort of about that moment, when there's a song called Stolen on the first album, which is, me coming back to an empty flat and she's just gone, that we used to live.
And the toy poodles.
And the toy
gone,
poodle's
stolen.
disappeared and he's just left a shit that I've got to clean up.
Well, speaking of that, let's segue into watching Standing in the Dark, shall we? You guys
Feel
are,
a bit emotional.
Look at your face.
You guys are way too good looking to do music.
It looks like you got Johnny's guitar as wet as that the other night, eh?
I'm literally a baby in that video, aren't I? That's 3 years ago. I can't sing that high now.
Do you still talk to her?
No, not at all. No, she's still with the model, I think.
Yeah, but she sees you.
But look
now
what you
on
got out of
billboards.
it. That song is amazing.
She sees me
It
up
is.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She cries at night a lot.
Hopefully. I don't know.
Right on the verge of suicide. And he goes, yes.
Nailed it.
I did it.
You know what? If I wouldn't have been with her, I wouldn't have wrote
Yeah, then that's
song.
great.
Right.
And by the way, that video is so well done. That's the first time I've seen that. So
Yeah, it was. We had a lot of fun filming that. It was literally a hose pipe, the rain. So
Was it?
like the
Wow.
guy was just holding the hose pipe and it was freezing, and we were like, yeah, it's an emotional song. You know, it's like I'm sure so many people have felt that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You know, when they see someone they loved for so long with someone new. You know what I mean? It's like you feel like they're your property. You know what I mean? And then obviously then she's with someone new, but you know that's such a long time ago. No, that doesn't. I don't even feel anything anymore. You know,
When you play it now live, do you think about that at all? Or you just
no,
think like
I'm just thinking like, you know, this is a great song. You know, I'm not even thinking about that at all. It's because I've got a new girlfriend, completely moved on, and
you guys never stand in the dark together?
No,
Yeah.
not really.
But that's actually, I've always wondered that when people like to be. When you write a song, maybe a new song, do you
Yeah.
ever get emotional when you're singing it to an
Oh,
audience?
like when we recorded that first album, like I was like in bits, yeah. Like I'd be singing a line, and I'd just be like, I just can't do it anymore. So, like just literally
Yeah,
break down, yeah, because
and
I'm just such an emotional guy. It's like-
unlike Steve, who's dead inside.
You know, I can sing it for you if you want, mate.
They're just like literally, but like, there was one song that I wrote called "The Girl I Knew," which was the whole story of the relationship, and just I couldn't sing that. Like that was
Would you like anticipate it in the set? Like, oh, here it's coming up. I got to sing that song.
live. It wouldn't be too bad. It was more in the studio, but I mean. Live, I just sometimes just get emotional because when you write a song, you never expect then like 10,000 people to be singing it back to you. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's
Yeah.
like
That'd be
because you just
amazing.
write it in your room. Like we wrote that song in like a flat, like a rubbish flat, like you know me and my mate and the bass player in the band, you know, and then we went on to perform at like the O2 Arena, you know, and everyone's singing every lyric. So it's like that's more emotional, not
right,
the fact
just
that
the energy coming.
yeah,
back.
not the fact that I was with the girl or whatever. It's just the fact that it's everyone's singing our lyrics. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
that's
And
awesome.
everyone loves the song.
Yeah.
So
Amazing.
I want to really thank Andy for coming and joining us, and not only just for this today, but he joined us for our weekend winter retreat and was completely generous and kind and just brought so much to our program. So I want to
Thank
thank
you.
you for that.
no worries.
Thank you to the Naked Vocalist for keeping your clothes on through this conversation. I appreciate that.
Thank you for having us on.
But you know, Steve and Chris have been great friends of mine for quite a while, and I just, you know, I adore you guys, and I love any interaction I get with you guys is always a good time for me. So,
Okay.
I thought you'd hold my
We're
hand, but that's
holding
fine.
hands.
Guys,
That's
I'm gonna
fine.
get emotional.
Yeah, mine.
Anyway.
I'm really gonna get emotional.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody. Thank Brooke, our producer, for putting this together, and thank the TNT studio for allowing us to come and continue our dribble in their atmosphere. And of course, my lovely wife,
Oh,
who's my
thanks, honey.
co-host and makes fun of me constantly, and I love that. So, and
Someone
we'll
has
see
to.
you soon for another episode. Woohoo! And I want to thank everybody who helped put this together. Brooke, our producer, and TNT Studios. And real quickly, where can everyone find you guys? Social media.
Guru.
Okay, we're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of them. Snapchat now as well. Naked Vocalist or TNV Questions. Clearly Google will get you there as well. NakedVocalist.com. Free advice for all singers right across the world.
TheNakedVocalist.com.
What did I?
You just said Naked Vocalist.
Okay.
That's
The
a
Naked
totally
I called you a
separate purpose.
guru as well.
Yeah, well, let's move on. So, Andy, where can people find you? I mean, that's got to be pretty easy, but
Yeah, Instagram, Twitter is twitter.com/Lawson official across all
this.
Lawson official.
Great.
All right.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing you guys soon.
Talk. This is SingTalk Radio.